Why Shavkat Rakhmonov is the next boogeyman in the UFC. This fighter from Kazakhstan has everyone talking, and with each fight he's proving why he's the most feared man in the welterweight division.
Shavkat Rakhmonov still undefeated and still a huge problem for welterweights to deal with.
Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Trust me, it's not just Laura Sanko who rolls her eyes when they talk about him. This man has captured the imagination of hardcore and casual fans alike. His nickname Nomad represents his native root.
Proudly carrying the Kazakhstan flag is Shavkat Rakhmonov. He has arrived as a welterweight contender.
When we think about fighters from the Eastern Hemisphere, we associate them more with a wrestling and grappling background, but Shavkat is cut from a different cloth. He ain't no one-trick pony. Shavkat is the real deal.
Shavkat?
Oh, Shavkat Rakhmonov.
Savage. My
He's the most under the radar guy ever. He's the most under the radar guy ever because everybody's avoiding him.
Why hasn't anyone called him out more? Could it be that when the welterweights look at him, they hear the war screams of the nomadic warriors when they go to battle? Last weekend, he fought in a title eliminator against Ian Gary and came up with a W. So the title fight is set whenever Belal is back from his rehab. But the big question is, could Shavkat take over and be the future of the welterweight division? Let's break it all down. The welterweight division has been hot for a long time now. You got guys like Kamaru Usman, once considered among the most dominant champions in UFC history. Then there's Leon Edwards, who pulled off that insane head kick knockout to claim the belt. Then we saw Belal dominating Rocky from pillar to post and becoming the new champ. We have the established contenders like Jack Della Maddalena, Gilbert Burns, etc. Colby was always the chosen one, bringing chaos along with him. But in the middle of all this chaos, one name stands out. Shavkat Rakhmonov. This silent killer has been rising through the ranks, and honestly, he's starting to feel like the next big thing. Tell me, how many fighters do you know who have an undefeated record? And on top, he had a 100% finishing rate up until last weekend. Well, that 100% finishing record no longer stands, but still, think about it. The Kazakh native has made a name for himself as one of the most exciting and dangerous fighters in the 170-pound division. Talking about pure excitement in the cage, Shavkat Rakhmonov has it all. He's like that fighter who's always on the edge of doing something crazy, but it looks so effortless.
What Rakhmonov can be, that spinning kick to the knee, then the ground and pound, all within 25 seconds.
He's got weapons everywhere. That's what makes him so dangerous.
You don't even realize how good he is until it's over. 1 minute he's standing in front of his opponent looking calm, like he's about to have a casual conversation. The next minute, boom! Someone's on the floor, lights out, and Rakhmonov's walking away with another finish.
Shavkat Rakhmonov. That man gives me chills.
The tenor in your voice changed.
It did. Yeah, it went up an octave.
I've never interviewed him. I've never spoken to him. But I
can see the goosebumps right
I
here.
feel like I would get nervous.
But you want to.
But I want to. He is 16-0. He has a 100% finish rate.
Now, I'd like to call him the boogeyman of the welterweight division. Hold on, folks. Doesn't it just fit so aptly with him? Rakhmonov isn't just another up-and-comer. He's someone who gives nightmares to the established vets in the division. He's that fighter that no one wants to face, and for good reason. His pressure is pure chaos, and his style is unrelenting. It's a mixture of sharp, slick striking coupled with ruthless submission skills. This guy can finish a fight in any way he wants, and if you're a welterweight fighter with championship aspirations, having Rakhmonov on the horizon probably feels like a big problem. Let's not forget how this all started. Shavkat's UFC debut was a statement.
Born in Uzbekistan, but the first fighter to sign with the UFC out of Kazakhstan. That is where Shavkat Rakhmonov hails from now.
Back in 2020, he made his first appearance in the octagon against Alex Cowboy Oliveira, a seasoned vet with 30-plus fights under his belt. And what does Rakhmonov do?
Remember the name Shavkat Rakhmonov with a huge win in his debut!
Wow.
He submits him in the first round like it was no big deal.
This young man said that he was going to dominate this fight, and I almost smirked at him. Shavkat Rakhmonov just did that. He won the fight on the feet, and when the fight went to the ground, he got the submission.
Since then, he's gone on a tear, defeating everyone the UFC has thrown his way. It's not just that he's winning in there, he's finishing his opponents. Wow, that is something every fighter dreams of, but our main man does this in reality. Before he ever stepped foot in the UFC, he was already seen as a young prodigy. He was the M1 Global Welterweight Champion, a title that's not easy to win. M1 Global basically is your gateway to the worldwide audience for the best fighters from the Far East. Do you know he was cornered multiple times by none other than the late great Abdulmanap Nurmagomedov, Khabib's father? He was like a father figure to the whole Dagestani MMA contingent, and him in the corner started right from Shavkat's MMA debut.
Rakhmonov, I think, could be a big overseas star for them. I'm told that in Kazakhstan, he's the biggest star in that country behind only Triple G. Triple G is bigger, fair enough, but Rakhmonov is right behind him.
The hype behind Shavkat is a no-brainer. You can feel it in the air. Every time he steps into the octagon, there's a buzz. The UFC knows it. This guy could be the next superstar of the promotion. And it's not just them. Fellow fighters are starting to take notice too. Rakhmonov has a low-key demeanor. There's no element of trash talk or flashy antics. He looks like the average Joe who shows up for the job, gets it done, and then disappears into the background. Whether it's his undefeated record, his insane finishing streak, or the way he dominates fighters without breaking a sweat, it's clear Rakhmonov has what it takes to go all the way. We've all been praising him for about a year now, but he doesn't care about the spotlight, and that just adds to his mystique even further. In a sport filled with attention-hungry personalities, Shavkat is a breath of fresh air, and that calm, almost eerie silence is what makes him a true killer in the octagon. Finally, this ascent to the top was rewarded with a title shot against the current welterweight champ.
Belal Muhammad defending his title against Shavkat Rakhmonov.
However, fate has something else in store for both. As Belal got injured and was out for a few months, it left Shavkat and the UFC in a tough spot. Dana had to go back to the table and find a worthy opponent for him. And the search ended when Ian Gary stepped up for a 5-round title eliminator, which served as the co-main event for UFC 310.
15-0 versus 18-0.
Yeah, so it's perfect. I mean, what a title eliminator.
On fight day, it was supposed to be a cracker of a fight, but sometimes when there's too much expectation, it fails to deliver. In the co-main event for UFC 310, Shavkat got a unanimous decision victory against the Irish fighter. His 100% finishing rate is no more, but he still pulled off the biggest win of his UFC career. Both the fighters entered the octagon undefeated with a combined 33-0 record, but Gary had to take his first L, although his stock took no hit after putting up a valiant effort against the Nomad. Speaking of Belal Muhammad, the most lovable champ of the UFC, just kidding Belal, my apology for the awful joke.
Shavkat's the guy that everybody was looking at, right? He's the scariest guy that they say he's in the division. He's the undefeated guy, finishes everybody, so I just think that it made the most sense.
It looks like a tough matchup for Shavkat. Belal demolished Leon from pillar to post in his last fight to claim the title and is on an 11-fight undefeated streak in the UFC. He has a habit of dominating his opponents with his pressure-heavy wrestling background. So the stage is set for the battle between Kazakhstan and Palestine, two amazing fighters with the intention to carve out their legacy in the game. Who will come out with a W, only time will tell. But whoever wins gets a belt and the honor to be called the best in the business at welterweight. And all the contenders in the division will be taking a close look at this one.
There's the two. Oh, wow! Still undefeated and still has finished every single fight.
Shavkat seems like a juggernaut, a fighter who has the mindset, the discipline, and the work ethic to be the best. Shavkat represents more than just his people. He represents an entire nation in Central Asia wanting to leave their mark on the sport. Kazakhstan awaits its first MMA world champion like Triple G did in the boxing world, and honestly, Rakhmonov's got the tools to do it. Bigger and better things await him. Whatever happens, the Nomad is coming, and coming quickly for the welterweight title. So what do you think of Shavkat Rakhmonov? What does the future hold for him? Could he be the next UFC welterweight champion? Let us know what you think. And before you go, on the left, you'll see a video where we explore, is Tom Aspinall the real deal in the UFC heavyweight division? Why is he the biggest threat to John Jones at heavyweight? Do watch it, and I'll see you on the next one.